Hi, hello, and welcome. Hopefully this short video will introduce you to our website, but we wanted to show you quickly how to get the most out of this website. So why are you here? Why Super Curricular? Whether you're applying for university, and I guess that's the primary reason many of you think of Super Curricular, but whether it's a university or a degree apprenticeship or employment, you have to do more now than just your grades. It's about standing out from the crowd. It's about looking like you're more passionate, more involved, more intellectually curious. And your grades alone are no longer enough. In a competitive environment, it's about standing out and showing them that you are a better applicant. And Super Curricular is a really good way of doing that. And it also enables you to combine curiosity about your subject and a love for what it is that you enjoy studying.
So we'll show you a few practical tips on how to use the website and how to get the most out of it. And the first thing that you need to do, if you haven't done so yet, is to register. So go on our website, mysupercurricular.co.uk, and find the register tab here in the corner. So we're asking you to put just a few simple bits of information to register: your first name, your last name, your school email address, and then create your password and you're ready to go. Once you've done this, press on login and put the credentials that you've just created.
Okay, so once you get in the site, you'll notice that there are 6 headings. Now, we've done this deliberately to help you. Everything that we do on this site is aimed at making it easier, quicker, smarter, and less complicated to find resources that suit you. So we've split them into 6 sections, and the idea is about thinking about where do you want to start? What's your preferred style of learning? Do you find something easier to access or not? Are you ready for books and MOOCs, or perhaps you prefer to watch a video, listen to a podcast, access some internet? Or maybe it's about the more skillful end of Super Curricular and taking part in a competition or prize, or maybe exploring some work experience.
Okay, so each section looks very similar. You will find an image and then a description of each resource, so you can read and find out a little bit more before clicking on it. You also can find here a way of saving. This is very important. So if you think you'll be using that resource again, or you've already completed some activities, then press save, and this will be saved in your account. There's also a way of sharing resources by typing an email and maybe sending an email to your friend who might be interested in the topic, or perhaps teachers can recommend particular resources to you. And we really encourage you sharing resources that might be useful for others.
You also have the function to search. Now, you can use the open search box and you can put in a keyword or phrase, and it will then search for any material within that section that has that word within it. Now, that can be great if you really know what you're looking for. That's particularly useful for EPQ students or somebody who knows where they're searching for. But if you're not sure where to start and it all feels a little bit too big and intimidating, on the right-hand side of the search box, you've got some categories: STEM, social sciences, health sciences, creative arts, and then study skills, which is a little bit different. Within those subheadings, you've got the kind of subjects you'd expect to see in school. So if you love biology, but you're really not sure what to do with it, that's a really good place to start. So you can click on biology within STEM, search, and it's going to pull down so many different types of resources which have a relationship with biology. Some of them are maybe really obvious, but others may be a little bit more broad spectrum. The idea is about giving you breadth of opportunity.
So we now give you a little bit of a flavor of what you can find in each section. I try to give you some practical tips on how to use each section for your benefit. We'll start with digital resources and social media. So what you will find here is useful websites, blogs, social media sites like Instagram, TikTok, maybe links to some interesting publications or questions. Also, we have quite a few organizations on here that might be relevant to particular careers or subjects. We also have websites with interesting information that you want to explore, and also a lot of practical projects there as well. So if I were you, I would have a look and select perhaps a couple of practical projects depending on your subject interest. I would definitely pick up a few social media people or organizations to follow and then include it into your daily social media feed. I would also select a couple of publications that you will start reading regularly and keep an eye on the new things that they publish. So use this section creatively. It will help you to immerse yourself in the topic or subject that you really enjoy studying.
Our second section is MOOCs, and MOOCs is an extension of that intellectual curiosity. It's not just about exploring, but it's learning through something a little bit more regimented, a little bit more like education that you're familiar with. MOOCs shouldn't cost you money, and every MOOC that we put onto our site, and we search from about 12 different hosting sites, we know that they're right in language, they're right in level, and they'll extend you as well as make you feel comfortable as a starting point now. But none of them should cost you money. If it mentions subscriptions, you don't need that. You don't need a certificate. You need to reflect on what you've done, and that's the learning point, not a collection of certificates that say that you're wonderful and you've done 50 of them. Now, we would recommend that you search for MOOCs that are in your subject or closely related to them. Again, you'll find that search engine works really well for MOOCs in related subject areas. And perhaps set yourself a target of maybe one every term. And then at the end of the year, you've got 3 nicely complementary MOOCs, which have extended your understanding and knowledge and are something that will really, really benefit your personal statement when you talk about the MOOC that you've done, the course that you completed, and what you learn as a result of it.
So your next step, I think, on the progression ladder would be perhaps picking a book that complement or help you to research the subject that you love. And here we have masses of suggestions on what to read, starting from quite sort of light-hearted academic books to something a little bit more serious. But if you're worried about reading books, really explore this section, because I'm sure that even as I scroll down now, you will see some books that perhaps will pique your interest. So once you click on the book, you will find a short description about the content or about the author. If we can source a short review from a student who studies this discipline at university, we will include that as well, because we find it's incredibly helpful and hopefully inspired you to read the book. And we also provide a title, an author, and we provide you an ISBN numbers to help you to perhaps source this book from a local library or from a school library as well. We have a purchase now button here, and which will take you to Amazon. And we understand the books can be expensive. Therefore, we do not encourage you to buy the books. We really encourage you to find those books, source them in other ways as well, unless you really want to buy them.
Okay, so a question for you. Do you travel to school? Do you walk to school? Do you walk the dog? Do you find you've got chores to do at home? If you've got time like that, it's often considered dead time. It's time where you're scrolling on your phone or maybe listening to some music. This is the perfect time to engage with this type of resource, podcasts and videos. Now, the videos section of things isn't just videos. There are TED Talks in here, which we curate. So don't worry. If somebody says to you, go on the TED website, find a TED Talk, that can be incredibly difficult to do. So we've pulled out the ones that we think are really useful, beneficial, and are appropriate for what you're trying to do now. But also in there, we've got TV series, one-off documentaries. There are even some films in here if they stimulate discussion or make you think about a particular subject. We also have content in here which challenges the way you think about things and the way you understand and perceive what's going on around the world. There's also some light-hearted material in here. So I think, just to keep repeating, Super Curricular doesn't always have to be serious and hard. It can be fun and really engaging and light. Alongside watching, you've got podcasts. And those podcasts range from everything from podcasts from academic institutions to literary organisations, to professional bodies, to political parties, but it can also, again, be delivered through a medium of humour. It could be the starting point that makes you then go, watch something a bit deeper, read something a bit more challenging, or do a MOOC on that subject. So please embrace this area as really easy to access Super Curricular.
So the next section is events. Here we have taster sessions and lectures by universities and professional organizations, and we also have competitions here. A lot of the sessions that we offer here are online because we think it's such an easy and accessible way to watch something and take part in something without having to travel. So most of them would probably take about an hour of your time, and we really encourage you to look at the topic rather than the organization that offer this particular session. So if you click on it, you can read a little bit more about the session itself. You can see which organization or professional or university offer this talk. You can see the date and when it starts and finish, and then obviously click on the event itself to sign up. In terms of competitions, we have a really broad range of competitions here, and it could be something which is sort of quite classic, like an essay competition, but we also have competition we have to come up with ideas or solve puzzles or build rockets or create artwork. So give it a go. You have nothing to lose. They're all free to take part in as well. So, but it will bring a lot of value into for you, and also the research that you put in order to take part in the competition. So be brave. That's my message.
Okay, now final section is work experience and volunteering. If you've been observant so far, you will have noticed something different about the last two types of resource, and that's that there's an online or a map icon, and there's also a date, time information as well. The vast majority of our resources, as Anu said, are online because anybody can access them no matter where they are. But occasionally we do put a physical resource or a physical opportunity on there if it's closely related to some of our subscribing skills. That date may be a date in the future, and that makes sense, doesn't it? That's when you're going to do whatever this activity is. But sometimes that date may be in the past, and you may think, that's a bit strange. How can I enter a competition when the date's in the past? Or how can I do a work experience when the date's already gone? In work experience and volunteering, if that date's in the past, it usually means that experience or opportunity is on demand, and you'll clearly see it stated underneath, on demand, self-paced, access anytime. If it doesn't quite say those words, then it's probably an opportunity to go and find some volunteering work. And of course, that can happen anytime, and that's often online, but often physical as well. With those prizes and competitions, if the date's in the past, you're in a window of opportunity. It may have opened, but it has not yet closed. So click on it and find out what that closing date is before you move forward. Work experience, critical to some roles and some university courses, but really beneficial for showing insight and understanding into a career, a subject, or perhaps where you can utilize the skills that you've got. Virtual work experience became a thing during COVID when there was a need to fill a gap. Actually, it's become a phenomenal resource, and lots of organisations are still producing high quality, really good value, easy to access work experience. And we know, alongside all those other super curricular resources, universities recognise this work experience as just as valuable, if not more, than actually going and working somewhere. I think it's important to say, save these resources, just like we've said for every other type, because then you can come back to them later and you can then pick and choose the ones that seem more appropriate rather than having to search for it. We put resources on every week. So as we add new resources, older resources go further down the list. Finding them then gets more challenging. Saving it means you can come back and think, right, I've done this reading, I've done a MOOC, I've watched this, I'm now going to enhance that by doing some practical experience, and I can relate all of this experience together.
So if event or work experience has expired, it will come off the website, but it will stay in your profile and will show you what it looks like. So if you saved it, it will remain in your account. So click on this little arrow near your name, and you will see your account. So here you have all the resources that you saved. Just like on the website, there are sections for all the resources, and the ones you saved will end up in your profile. So here you can see I saved 4 books, and 2 of them I've read. So therefore, I can tick them off as completed. And these 2 I'm still planning to read later.
It might be that you decide that you don't want to read that last one. It becomes irrelevant and you've moved your direction of study, so you can delete them as well. But the most important thing about completing any super curricular activity is not the list of achievement. That's the so what question. It's not, I've done this, I've done that, I've completed that. It's okay, but what did you learn from it? And we give you the opportunity to make some reflections once you've completed them. There are some questions at the top that will prompt you, that will help you to fill in that empty white box. Things like, what were the main points or arguments of that book? What is it saying? And what as a result have you learned? What are your thoughts as a result of reading it now? Do you have a better understanding or a different understanding from where you were before? Is there anything you agree or disagree with, or question, or want to know more about why that's been said the way it has? And lastly, what do you want to do as a result of finishing that resource? What are you going to do next? How can you explore it further? How can you understand language or vocabulary that you perhaps aren't sure about its use or the context of it? The reflections are massively important because they demonstrate to someone reading your personal statement what you've learned and the fact that you've done the super curricular in the first place. That's the evidence there for them.
So we're hoping those reflection notes will then serve as building blocks for your personal statement. So every time you log in your thoughts on a particular resource, you are actually writing your personal statements. So these are really, really quick tour for our website, and hopefully will give you some good tips. Enjoy using it, make the most of it, and thank you for listening and watching.